Welcome back, everyone, to George James and Associates Research Tools channel. Today, I'm going to be discussing with you the number one reason why your article that you submitted to a peer-reviewed outlet, most likely an academic journal, was rejected. Now, sometimes you might not even make it past the editor. So the editor will look at your paper, at least look at the abstract, and decide, you know what, this isn't really what we're looking for. Thanks, but I'm not going to pass it to reviewers. I'm going to flat out what we call desk reject it. And that happens sometimes, but as long as you meet the minimum requirements, you're within the basic parameters of the journal. The editor will then turn it around and send it to a couple of peer reviewers, and then depending on discipline, it could be anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks and several months before you hear back with the initial decision. And so, in the event that it's submitted it's passed to the peer reviewers and they come back and with a rejection, most likely that was because your paper was internally inconsistent or maybe even incoherent. And so the reviewers had trouble following your train of thought, starting with the introduction, that is the background, problem statement, purpose statement, through the literature review, the theoretical framework, the methods section that has the data and methodology, the results, the discussion, which has the limitations, implications, and future research possibilities, and lastly, the conclusion. So most often what's going on in your article, or rather what's not going on, is you are not making sure that each of these sections of the paper are tightly knit between each other and also internally consistent within themselves. And so this needs to be an arrow, a straight line, starting with the introduction, ending with the conclusion. And I've talked about each of these sections before in other videos in my channel, and you can rest assured that when you do not follow the basics and lead in and dumb it down, even though these peer reviewers are some of the world's experts in their field may not be specifically your field. And so the reviewers aren't in your mind with all the chaotic thoughts jumping around. It's a real struggle to take that chaos in your mind and put pen to paper and to order your thoughts in a very cohesive manner. It's very hard to do that. So, what you need to do is you should diagram your paper. See, in an outline, most of the time people will just write, okay, section 1 introduction thesis statement is this, section 2 A, B, C, section 3 A, B, C, section 4 A, B, C. I actually prefer, and this is something I've started doing recently, is I actually like outlines that move from left to right, that start with the introduction, goes through every section, maybe lists the main arguments and maybe even the citations justifying those under each one. But you've got to have that central theme of what you're adding. What are you adding to our knowledge on that subject? What is your basic contribution? And you need to make sure that that contribution really shines through in every single one of these sections, and that each section is playing its part, carrying its weight to fruitfully contribute to the overall paper. Too many of us write nonsense that just doesn't really do anything. It doesn't do any work. Everything that you write in your paper, it needs to be stripped down to the bare bones. Anything that's in excess, get rid of it. Just jettison it. Write that, include that stuff in a book. One day when you have tenure or you're the president of your firm, or for whatever reason that you're engaging in this research, you're a world renowned scholar, you can then write a book, and then you can put all the excess stuff you want to your heart's content, because books are judged differently than articles. Articles are supposed to be lean and mean and to the point. Books, you can put a lot of fluff in books. I'm not saying books are bad, but books are just judged differently in academia than their articles counterparts are. So once again, the number one reason why your article is rejected, it is some form of the internal inconsistency and the train of thought that you're trying to put to paper is interrupted. You're in your own way. You're sabotaging yourself because one or more of these sections either doesn't flow from the last one, the previous one, or it just stands out like a sore thumb and it's not getting the work done that you think it is. And according to the reviewers, it is so insurmountable that it can't be fixed. That's all I have this time. I try to keep this under 5 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.